All right, hello and welcome everyone to another Willpop Vinyl video. I'm doing a short one today, hopefully, to talk about the HumminGuru Nova record cleaner, which I got maybe, 1 or 2 months ago after ordering it towards the end of the year. It took a while to get here, but no big deal. And yeah, I mean, I'll say off the top, this is not sponsored content. I'm going to talk about what I like and what I don't like. I mostly like it, so this is going to be a positive review. So if you're considering getting this, then stick around and you can hear my thoughts about it. Before I jump into exactly why I got the HumminGuru and how it works, part of why is the previous way I was cleaning my records and some of my concerns about it. So like most people, I started off collecting without cleaning my records. That's just one of those things that I think you don't really learn about until you start getting a little bit deeper into the hobby, maybe looking at some content on YouTube or Reddit and seeing that, yes, actually like cleaning your records is an important thing to do for their longevity and for the clarity of their play. So somewhere along the lines, I guess it was probably about 2.5, 3 years ago, I took a look at my collection, figured time to start cleaning these things. And from my basic research at the time, I had seen some of these ultrasonic cleaners on the market, but I hadn't considered getting one, especially at the time, having like a smaller kid and a smaller apartment and just not really wanting another device to store. So I went with the microfiber cloth and cleaning solution method, excuse me, which seemed to be pretty popular amongst a lot of just the people creating vinyl record content. And I was fairly happy with it. Like, I'll say that it makes the records look pretty clean, especially if they're dusty. And you can see, actually what comes off the record when you use the use the cloth, right? And you just give it a scrub. I was using a solution, like a cleaning solution like this. Not always this brand. This is from Boundless. Kind of just whatever was available on Amazon. I'm sure they're all virtually the same. Just a couple of sprays of that, and then swirl around the record and then leave it to dry. And yeah, I mean, that cleaned up some of my records, but I also noticed that the fibers from the cloth, the threads, would get embedded in the grooves of the record. So the record would look good, like the dust would be off of it, but if you looked close, I would see along the grooves in some places, like these little white hairs, right? The little threads from the fiber cloth. And when I would go to play the record later, those fibers would accumulate on the needle as it went around, and sometimes they would accumulate to the point where it would cause the needle to start hopping and skipping. There would be so much on there. So I posted about this on Reddit. Being a new person, like I hadn't discovered YouTube and the vinyl community here yet, and pretty much everyone said that they've never had this problem or they've never seen it, and I should try different microfiber cloths. And I did try some other ones, and I kind of just kept noticing it. So I did get concerned that I might be doing some damage potentially to the records, or at the very least damage to the needle. And I didn't like having to, blow all the fibers off of it or stop playing a record because the needle was jumping because of the accumulation. So once we moved and got settled here, I told myself I'm definitely going to get some kind of ultrasonic cleaner. So the HumminGuru is where I landed. I got the Nova, which is a more recent model, I think perhaps one that they put out in the last year or so. I also got the water spout attachment, which allows you to just press one button and it measures the water perfectly into the basin for washing the record. And I also got an extra bottle of this, which is their surfactant, like their cleaning solution that you're supposed to put a few drops in to the distilled water that you use to clean, to allow it to dry faster and make sure that all the solution comes off the record during the drying process. So all in, and anyone will see this if you go to the website, it's not cheap. With shipping especially, it ended up being about $1,000, which is a big cost, I think, for anyone in the hobby. It was certainly something that put me off from getting something like this initially, but as my collecting kind of developed more towards getting vintage records, older records, first pressings, things that just end up being more expensive. That $1,000, if a lot of the records that are like on your want list are north of $100, well then that 1,000 starts to make a little more sense if it means that those records will be preserved and play well, which is the hope, right? So on top of that $1,000 ish, and you can probably go cheaper if you don't get the water attachment, and if you wanted to be a chemist and make your own cleaning solution. I don't feel comfortable doing that. You can definitely probably get it, I think, in like the 600-ish plus shipping range. But then the other thing is that you do have to have some kind of distilled water solution. So I don't think distilled water is that expensive to go get at the store. Probably most grocery stores or convenience stores might carry it. For me, I decided to just get a machine that makes the distilled water off of the tap. And, because it can also be used for making coffee, right? Like the distillation process takes all the minerals out of it. And if you have like an espresso machine, then using that helps keep like scaling and residue buildup inside the machine. So I was like, okay, it'll be dual use. And I actually got the distilled water device before even buying the HumminGuru because it was like on sale over Black Friday last year, and HumminGuru did not go on sale over Black Friday or Cyber Monday. That was kind of what I was hoping. So instead I waited till after the holidays to actually get the record cleaner. So I'll say I've cleaned several hundred. I've cleaned more than half my collection so far. And I've only been cleaning 12-inch records. I don't have that many smaller records right now. And so I haven't fussed with the attachments, seeing what cleaning some smaller ones are like. And overall, I'm super happy. I mean, when you put one in, and especially if I had some ones that had some dust on them, like some kind of like classic rock ones that I had never really put a lot of time into cleaning, and some older like blues stuff that still, despite the cloth, the microfiber cloth treatment, still clearly had some grain and grit in there. You can see it sometimes in the water when it's done, like the water gets cloudy, or you can see like sediment kind of accumulate at the bottom of the container there. So it definitely seems effective. I had one jazz record that had a pretty bad skip on it, or like a bump that I couldn't figure out where it was on the record itself. So after cleaning it, that skip went away. And it was one of those skips where it actually causes the needle to jump back. And so it kind of created like a locked effect, which was really annoying. So running it through this cleaner and having that be resolved was a huge bonus, like already. So yeah, if you're very interested in cleaning records and kind of doing it in a set it and forget it way, this is a great solution for that. What are some of the downsides? Well, other than the cost, which I think will be prohibitive for probably a lot of people, the sound. So I had seen some other people review this product and say that they thought it was very quiet, or acceptably quiet. I would say it's acceptably quiet like 70 or 80% of the time, which is weird. It's kind of weird how the level of noise it makes really varies depending on the record that seems to be in it. So I have had pretty bad experiences with some of the older records, like in particular, some of these old blues records that I have. They were making the device screech and scream basically at a level that made me concerned that it was breaking or had broken, and that I shouldn't be using it. And so, there's no like hard reset or anything on this thing. Like it's pretty simple. It just fills with water. You press a button and it starts spinning, and you hear the noise, what you assume is the ultrasonic waves, and then it drains the water and it dries the record. So there's not really anything that you can see or perceive that would like help you understand why it's making this noise like it is. But then I tried some other records and it didn't make that loud noise. Then the blues records go back in and it does. So the only thing I can kind of guess is that there's like a compositional difference to the vinyl, or something with the thickness of the vinyl, and it's causing some kind of resonation that is just sometimes, depending on the record, creates an incredibly loud noise to the point where it's like you got to leave the office, close the door, apologize to the family, say it's only going to be a few minutes. But most of the time, it's okay. Most of the time. I sit within 3 or 4 feet of the device over here, and once I have my headphones on, especially if I'm doing something else, it's fairly easy to ignore, but still present enough that like once the dryer kicks on and it finishes the cycle, you can audibly notice that, get up, move the record over to the drying rack, and start your next one. So this will be a good spot to pause and I will show just some video of mine in action filling it. An example of what I consider to be like a normal noise for the machine to make. We'll see if that picked up that well from my phone, and then the drying process as well. So I'll insert that here. All right, so hopefully that worked. My video editing is not that skillful yet, but it should be pretty easy, I hope. And yeah, I mean, if you saw what you saw, then you see that the water spout thing is just a nice feature. Just press the button, let it fill. It just knows exactly how much to fill it, and then it cuts off the water, and you can put your record right in. I usually run it like a 5-minute, like a deep clean sequence, and so I think it's like 5 minutes of the ultrasonic and then 2 minutes of drying, and then I put them into the drying rack, which I'll show here. So this is another piece that I'm a little bit critical of. The drying rack itself is the top of the HumminGuru, so it's like the dust lid for when you're not using it. I've been using it pretty much every day, so I haven't put this back on. I've just left it permanently as a drying rack, and it came with these kind of rigid plastic, not so easy to get out as I thought. Yeah, these rigid plastic tubes and these little toppers that I think are supposed to be like a hummingbird, though they look a little bit more like a penguin in the profile to me. So yeah, this is a smart idea, I think, to use or reuse this lid to create this drying rack, but I don't know how to put this. I mean, I understand like why they put the rubber things here, these attachments to protect the records, right? The hard edge of the plastic could definitely scrape or scratch a record. You wouldn't want that. But I found that even this rubber, which is pretty hard actually, can sometimes leave a superficial mark on your record if you allow it to drag as you're like, usually for me, it's when I'm taking the record out. And so because these are so close together, you end up having to play a little bit of like operation, like dropping the record in really carefully, making sure that the bird is only coming in contact with like the label near the middle, then taking it out really carefully. Obviously, we're probably all used to handling our records carefully anyways, but this is just like another added mental tax. And every time you slip up, you just get this little like streak there. As far as I know, they're not really interfering with play. I don't think they're doing like damage to the record. But if you were ever going to resell that, right, someone might ask you like about that mark, especially if it's like a really clean record. So yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal, but I don't know, and I don't know what the solution is. So I don't know if anyone else has used other drying racks and also noticed this issue of taking the records in and out and just making sure that you don't accidentally do damage or get marks on them. So, and I would also say I would love, sorry for bumping the mic, I would also say I would love to have a few more slots here so I don't have to work in batches of 5. There's room on either side to add at least 2 more. So I think you could go up to 8 or 10 slots here. And that would be, 10 would be great because I end up doing about 20 records per water load. That's what I had seen some people say online, that you can do about 20 before you should change the water. So that's what I've been doing more or less. And that's it. I'm just I'm recording this video in between. I just I just took some records off the rack and sleeved them back up, and I'm getting ready to do 5 more, and then I'll probably change the water and be done for the day. So yeah, overall, like I said, I think it's a really good product. This is not sponsored content again. You know, this is only like my 6th video on the channel, so unfortunately, you know, I did go fully out of pocket for this, but then at least you know the review is honest. If you do collect more expensive records, older records that you know, you do want to care for long term, I think this is probably worth your money. especially if you're collecting at those levels. So that's it. For the sake of keeping this on the shorter side, I'll end there. Hope everyone enjoyed. Leave some likes and comments. If you have a HumminGuru, have you experienced some of the sound fluctuations that I have? If you're using microfiber cloths, did you ever experience the accumulation of fibers like I did? I'm super curious to hear. And all right, that's it for this one. I'll be back again soon with another video, probably a collection update. Thanks everyone. Bye.